So Kamala Harris sat down for an interview with 60 Minutes. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I've seen enough of the clips, and it would appear that this is maybe the first real interview that she's done. Certainly this election in years, actually, the first real interview, maybe ever. I don't know. And I'm sure it was an accident. She didn't think that she was heading in for a real interview, but she got one. And we'll play a few clips for you for some reason. We'll start with the worst one. Here's Kamala actually being held to account for her failures at the border. And this is kind of a long clip, but I think we need the whole context. And you'll see the most amazing thing about this is that she is actually challenged a little bit. Now, the bar's really low for the media, of course, as we know, but so we don't want to make the mistake of giving too much credit to a journalist who just does their job. But it is a rare sight indeed. So let's watch this.
You recently visited the southern border and embraced President Biden's recent crackdown on asylum seekers. And that crackdown produced an almost immediate and dramatic decrease in the number of border crossings. If that's the right answer now, why didn't your administration take those steps in 2021?
The first bill we proposed to Congress was to fix our broken immigration system, knowing that if you want to actually fix it, we need Congress to act. It was not taken up. Fast forward to a moment when a bipartisan group of members of the United States Senate, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, got together, came up with a border security bill. Well, guess what happened? Donald Trump got word that this bill was afoot and could be passed, and he wants to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. So he told his buddies in Congress, kill the bill, don't let it move forward.
But I've been covering the border for years. And so I know this is not a problem that started with your administration.
Correct.
But there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem. And solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today,
watch.
because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
But should you
we
have done
cut
that?
the
Should you
flow
have
of
done that?
fentanyl by half, but we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
All right, pretty brutal, and I'm shocked this guy is pushing back on her. He must be a right-wing extremist. He must be a secret Trump supporter. That's the only explanation. But Kamala's in a real bind here. Even if she was rhetorically gifted, even if she was good at deftly navigating these kinds of landmines, it would still be a nearly impossible task because the fact is that border crossings quadrupled, as he points out a number of times. And those are the stats. Those are the figures. Nothing you can do about it. Well, you could have done something about it before, but now that's what happened. And there is no good answer. But in Kamala's case, she is not skilled at navigating this kind of stuff. She isn't really skilled at anything. She isn't a good BSer or even a passable one. So you get this meltdown, and she looks awful, incompetent and dishonest, which are it's the worst combination if you're a political candidate. If you're going to be dishonest, at least be competent. And if you're going to be incompetent, at least be honest. And she's the worst of both worlds. But that's not the only embarrassing clip. There was also this exchange, which in some ways I find to be even more humiliating and more difficult to watch. But there's this exchange about her alleged firearm that she allegedly owns. Watch.
a hard left turn here, but you recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner. And then if someone came into your house...
That was not the first time I've talked about it. That's not the first time I've talked about it.
So what kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time. And, I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement. And so there you go.
Have you ever fired it?
Yes. Of course I have. At a shooting range. Yes, of course I have.
Of course. Yeah, I'm getting some serious, my girlfriend goes to another school vibes from this. She fully comes off like a child lying to her friends about something. She reminds me of myself when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I lied to my friend because he was bragging about his baseball card collection. That was a thing back when I was a kid. I don't know, do kids even do baseball cards anymore? Probably not. Anyway, but he was bragging about it, and I said that I had an original Babe Ruth card because I was just trying to one-up him because he was being such a jerk about it. And he's like, really? You have an original Babe Ruth card? Where'd you get that? Well, I got it. I found it. Where'd you find it? From under my couch. So it fell apart pretty quickly, and that's what often happens in these. That's why I learned a lesson early. You don't one lie leads to another. Kamala Harris, but I was in second grade, so I give myself a pass. Kamala Harris is like 60 years old and telling this lie, but the fact that she's clearly lying about being a firearm owner, in particular actually firing the gun. That's not the interesting thing. Of course, she lies about everything. The interesting thing is that she feels the need to lie about this in the first place. And that shows you. She's she's pretending now all of a sudden to be some kind of border hawk. She's pretending to be a law and order, kick ass and take names, lock them up, throw the bad guys away and throw away the key kind of person. She's pretending. And she's even pretending that she's a gun nut now. The fact that she feels she needs to lie about that is the most telling thing. Are you still struggling with back taxes or unfiled returns? The IRS is escalating collections by adding 20,000 new agents and sending millions of demand letters. Handling this alone could be a huge mistake and cost you thousands of dollars. In these challenging times, your best offense is with Tax Network USA. With over 14 years of experience, the experts at Tax Network USA have saved clients millions in back taxes, regardless of the size of your tax issue. Their expertise is your advantage. Tax Network USA offers 3 key services: protection, compliance, and settlement. Upon signing up, Tax Network USA will immediately contact the IRS to secure a protection order, ensuring that aggressive collection activities such as garnishments, levies, or property seizures are halted. If you haven't filed in a while, if you need amended returns, or if you're missing records, Tax Network USA's expert tax preparers will update all of your filings to eliminate the risk of IRS enforcement. Then they'll create a settlement strategy to reduce or eliminate your tax debt. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world, and now that tax season is over, collection season has begun. Tax Network USA can even help with state tax issues. For a complimentary consultation, call today at 1-800-958-1000 or visit their website at tnusa.com/Walsh. That's 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Walsh today. Don't let the IRS take advantage of you. Get the help you need with Tax Network USA. What it says is actually encouraging. It says that on the right, we're winning on those issues. We're winning culturally, at least. And we may not be winning politically, because to win politically, you need to elect people who can advance this agenda legislatively. But culturally, we're winning on immigration crime and gun rights. The fact that the most left-wing, the most liberal major party presidential candidate in history is putting on this performance, I think tells you everything you need to know. One more clip. Here she is on economics, which is always a great subject for her. Let's watch.
My plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses.
He challenges her then on how she's going to pay for her plan, which is an important thing to challenge her on. And she has no idea how she'll pay for it. But that's not even the biggest problem here. The biggest problem is this completely insane claim. We just talked about it last week. Here it is again. The insane claim that people like teachers, you know, people who are at the income level of teachers, pay a higher tax rate than rich people. And that is just totally delusional. It is absolutely disconnected from reality. There are a lot of people who believe this nonsense. And I'd love to see a poll on this. How many Americans believe this? How many Americans actually believe that rich people are paying a lower tax rate than teachers? I would not be surprised if someone did that poll and it came back that like 70% of Americans or something believe this. It's just such a common claim. It's not remotely true. Okay, it is not remotely true. Here's what is true. The highest federal tax rate in this country applies to single individuals who have an income of about $600,000, a little more than $600,000. For joint filing, it's like $700,000, $750,000, something like that. These people are paying almost 40%. And that's just federal income tax. That doesn't count state taxes, doesn't count property taxes. When you factor all that in, you're talking about some people are paying 50%, 60% almost of their income in taxes. Teachers are not paying that much. Teachers are not paying, let's stick with just federal income taxes. Teachers are not paying 40%, not even close. And they certainly aren't paying more than 40%, okay? If you're a teacher paying more than 40% of your income, you have the worst accountant on earth. I don't know what, you need to go to TurboTax. I don't know what you're doing that you're paying that much. Most teachers are going to end up in the bracket that pays like 12%. If you look at the brackets on the IRS website, it would technically put a lot of teachers in the 22% bracket at most. But then you have to factor in deductions and all that stuff so that most teachers are not actually paying 22%. But again, none of them are paying more than 40%, which is what people who qualify as rich by IRS standards have to pay. And did you notice something about the tax brackets? These rich people are not all billionaires. In fact, almost none of them are billionaires. There are only like 700 billionaires in the whole country. Billionaires are basically irrelevant. They barely exist. 700 in a country of 330 million people. You could confiscate all of their money, take all of it. You could put a tax rate of 100% on billionaires, and it would fund the government for like a week or something. Okay? I mean, the government spends $16 billion a day. Okay? A day. So you could take Elon Musk's entire net worth and reduce him to poverty, which I know the left would love to do that. It would fund the government for what? 2 weeks? 2 weeks. So the billionaires don't matter. They don't really matter when it comes to it's marginal. They're spending so much money, and there are so few billionaires that it's a drop in the bucket. These taxes on the rich are mostly screwing over people who are not billionaires. In fact, a huge number of these people are not even millionaires. Okay, again, the top tax rate, you're talking about $600,000 for a single individual. These aren't even millionaires. And while that's happening, these idiot liberals are pretending that actually somehow, by some voodoo magic, public school teachers are paying more in taxes than people who have to fork over 40% of their income to the federal government. And we went over this already, but higher income people, by that I mean, and the IRS means, more importantly, people who make $600K or more, not billionaires, not even close to billionaires, higher income people pay for almost everything. They get the worst deal by a long shot. They get screwed the most by our current tax system, and it's not even close. Okay? I know it's not a popular thing. It's not very populist to say that, boo-hoo, someone who makes $600K is getting robbed by the government. But yeah, you know what? Yeah, boo-hoo. It's a bad thing. It is a bad thing. It's actually outrageous. The government is just straight up stealing nearly half of the income of millions of American families, millions of American workers who have worked extremely hard to get to where they are, and they have families to take care of, only to get ruthlessly punished for it. So yeah, they are the victims of the tax system. Okay? I mean, they just are. People who make 40, 50, 60K, the average American income, they do pretty well when it comes to federal income taxes. They're getting screwed in a bunch of other ways. Everybody is. Every American is getting screwed by the system because we have an incompetent, corrupt, wasteful government and federal bureaucracy that screws everybody over. No question about it. But so we're all getting a raw deal. But my point is, when it comes to the federal income tax system specifically, higher income people have by far the most to complain about. And it doesn't surprise me that this is a truth that very few politicians will ever articulate, even the conservatives, the supposed conservatives, even the people who certainly know better. Most of them are not going to come out and say this. Because then it's like you're accused of, it's crocodile tears for the rich. So no one just comes out and says, stop the nonsense. Teachers are not paying more. Middle class people, working class people are not paying more in taxes than people who are in the top income tax bracket. That is not happening. And yes, the fact that anyone in this country is having nearly half of their income taken by the federal government is a travesty. It is an injustice. It's insane. But we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to talk about that, I guess. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.